This is Charter Local Edition. My name is Brad Pomerance. I recently spoke with Doug Halbert. He is the city prosecutor for the city of Long Beach. And he said, I must speak with two of the finest men in Long Beach. They grew up here. They're dedicated to their community. Their names are Duke Givens and Antonio Gilbreath. They are filmmakers, they are documentarians, and they are talking about a subject that we cannot ignore. And that it's all tied up in one issue, but it starts with gang violence, it moves to the family, and it moves to the lack of fathers and men. I want to go back to 1995, if we may, gentlemen. You were an aspiring young photographer.
Yes, sir.
Duke, and you produced this calendar. Were you a part of it, Antonio?
I was a part of it.
Okay, so you both did.
But it's mostly Duke's brainchild.
Okay, so Duke, tell me about this calendar.
That calendar was birthed because we lost a lot of men in our community and women due to gang violence.
Right.
I got out of the Air Force in 1993, and when I came home, I saw that it was just such an exodus of people, whether in prison or died, that I had to do something that would show the care and concern to point out this issue.
What is so heartbreaking about this calendar, which is 20 years old, and includes some well-known names, Snoop Dogg, who we know has been a positive force, at least he's tried to be,
yes,
and I think a net positive in the final analysis, is there many men and women that are shown in this calendar. And yet so many of them are no longer with us. They've either died or they're in jail.
A lot of them at the time were speaking the message, but because of the lifestyle that they were living, it caught up to them, so they succumbed to that same message. So,
Antonio, you grew up with some of these guys.
Yes, I did.
That are either dead or in jail.
That's correct.
How does that make you feel when 20 years ago, I mean, look, the title, Stop Gang Violence. You were talking about this 20 years ago, and yet you've lost so many friends.
Yes. Well, see, I was actually living the life, because, as we segue to Emerald in the Rough.
Right, which we'll talk about.
Right, the lack of a father, it kind of has this void that you try to fill, so you kind of gravitate toward the men in the community, which most of the time were gang members. And I, too, gravitated toward that because early in my life, I was in gangs. So,
were you, Duke?
no, I was not.
But
we had different life.
Right. But you knew each other. You were
we
friends.
knew each other, that's correct. And I could have been one of the statistics that were in the calendars.
Right. So we got to know each other as a result of the city prosecutor, Doug Halbert, who has taken a very sincere interest in what you're doing.
Yeah, very good.
And front page of the Long Beach Press Telegram, an article about what you're doing, the greatest role a man can take on. What is that role, gentlemen?
Fatherhood.
Father, yeah. So I'm a father. I can feel myself getting emotional talking about it. I'm a father. I have two daughters. They're 13 and 11.
Yes, sir.
Y'all got three girls.
I do.
How old?
26, 25, and 16.
You got
and
a boy?
I have a boy, he's 4 years old.
It's undeniable what a gift being a father is.
It teaches you a different type of love.
Yeah.
An unconditional love that's just
I remember
indescribable.
my mother and father said to me, you will never know true love until you have your own child. Taking nothing away from my wife, by the way, who I love dearly.
Correct.
It's a completely different beast. You grew up with a father.
Yes, sir.
You did not.
I did not.
You were not in a gang, you were.
I was.
Is it fair to say that the lack of a father figure made it more likely that you would be in a gang, and the presence of a father figure made it less likely you'd be in a gang?
I would say yes.
Yeah. I would say yes as well.
Yeah, tell me why.
Well, you don't have anybody you can emulate, no one to look up to, no role model. And there were mentors in the community, but unfortunately my mentors were gang members. So you try to fill that void some kind of way, so you gravitate toward that.
So in connection with this calendar, y'all produced The Game Don't Change.
Yes, sir.
About the death of so many of your friends.
Yes.
Or the incarceration of them. Now you're moving to your next project where Prosecutor Halbert gets involved, where the entire Long Beach community, the entire state gets involved. It's called Emerald in the Rough. Tell me about that name. I think about Diamond in the Rough.
Yes.
Tell me about Emerald in the Rough.
Yeah, when you say diamonds, that is usually something that is perfect, which no one is perfect.
Okay.
But we all are gems.
Okay.
And we all have qualities that make us these unique gems. So my dad's favorite color is green, mine is green as well, and we went to the greatest high school on the planet.
Which was?
Poly High School.
Of course it was, in Long Beach, California, which
it.
has actually graduated some of the region's finest.
The
I
best.
mean, and it's known to be quite a football powerhouse, an academic powerhouse.
Exactly.
I mean, if you live in Long Beach and you're in that district, you're in a good place.
That is
You know,
it.
Yeah.
about
Yeah.
So it kind of stemmed from that, and the emerald represents fatherhood, but the rough stands for the experiences that we all go through in life. Life is going to be difficult for everyone.
Right.
So when you put that gem into that difficult perspective, that's where you have our title that comes into place.
And so, what are you doing? I know you're raising money
Yes,
for the
we're trying-
documentary.
yes.
How can we help? How can we contribute?
You want,
Yeah. Well, how you can contribute is we want people to get involved. And right now we're asking for financial support. We're trying to get a production so it could be professionally done. We put this together on a shoestring budget, but we made it happen. And now we're asking the community to come together and help us out.
So you have an Indiegogo account.
Yes.
People have raised millions of dollars
Yes.
through Indiegogo, so there's no doubt it can be done.
Yeah, we're not asking for millions.
I know, but I'm just saying
Right.
it's not unconventional.
We will take it.
But it's not what you're
Yeah.
doing is not like some fly by night. I mean,
yeah.
this is very respectable.
And these will be the stories that continue because we want to always, and our mission statement is accentuate the positive. So all of the films that we do from this point on is going to touch on the positivity instead of focusing on negative.
I want to ask, though, about fathers in a sense that families come in different shapes, different sizes. Fathers sometimes cannot be present for a whole host of reasons, good, bad, or indifferent. When a father is not present for whatever reason, what's the answer?
I got that answer.
Please.
And that is mentors, coaches, teachers, community members, firemen, policemen. There's so many different things in our city that offers help and support for these young men and women that I'm not going to say there's an excuse, but there should not be an excuse because you have so many different people you can go to. You have Police Athletic League. Well, it used to be in our city, but you have the Rocket Academy through Long Beach Fire Department, just a lot of different things that are presented. And then so many other people, you know, that you can reach out to, uncles, grandfathers, neighbors' parents, you know, so it's just our community is just amazing. That's why I love Long Beach so much.
Absolutely. And there's intergenerational consequences to a father or a mentor not being there for kids. You know, you pass it down. You know, the question we ask is, what legacy are you going to leave your child? Emerald in the Rough is a film about that.
So what have you learned through your research into Emerald in the Rough? What has come to you?
Well, there's a host of statistical data that points to the absentee father and the consequences thereof. There's behavioral problems, there's psychological problems, there's a lot of problems that are associated with a kid not growing up with a mentor or a father.
Are you finding that it's more impactful for a boy to have an absent father versus a girl?
I think
Yeah,
it's equal footing. It's
Yeah,
equal
it is.
ground.
It is. But I think more that young men emulate their fathers
Yeah.
and young women emulate their mothers. And like I said, I don't have statistical data to back that
I know
up,
what
but
you're
just
saying.
from life
Intuitively,
experience.
no,
yes.
I knew where you were going.
Yes.
And I think about how critical, look, it takes a village, you've
Yes.
heard that cliche.
To raise a child, it does. It really does.
And I just want to say I thank you for what you're doing. I honor you for what you're doing. I thank the city prosecutor for introducing us. If you want to participate in any way to help bring Emerald in the Rough to the silver screen or big screen, you can go to indiegogo.com/emeraldfilm. He is Duke Givens. He is Antonio Gilbreath. I am Brad Pomerance, and this is Charter Local Edition.